So you've used the term peer teaching and explained it. Do you also feel, or do you experience the use of peer assessment?
We do. Peer assessment is one of those woolly terms that different people mean by it. When we do group work, because a lot of it's done at a distance from us, we don't interact all the time with their workings as a group. We don't necessarily see who's doing all the technical input or who's coordinating the group and who's project managing it. So we get students to peer assess each other there, and we use their assessment to influence we will mark the output, and then that will help to distribute the overall group mark across the students. So that's one form of peer assessment. Peer assessment actually giving a mark to students, so one student giving a mark to his peers, that's more difficult. Certainly at higher levels, because it carries weight, etc. I have had colleagues who've had a lot of success with that, certainly on a formative basis. In fact, one of my colleagues used it for a lab class. The students had done the lab, they'd done the write-up. He brought them into a fairly large tutorial, collected the write-ups as they came in and then redistributed them. And then he took them through what he'd have expected to see while they marked each other's. So they were engaging all the time with something in front of them. They knew what they'd done themselves, writing comments on, identifying where people could have improved. And then at the end of it, they swapped. And I think they'd given each other a mark, 1 out of 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5. And he just then went through and just checked the overall mark. So it wasn't a major part of the course. The feedback from students, it was the most valuable feedback, formative feedback they'd had up to that point. So they found it very, very valuable themselves.
So the peer assessment you use is largely formative assessment as opposed to summative?
It was very minor summative. I think it was probably worth 5 or 2% of the whole course. So it wasn't a major part of it. And the staff member did check. Right. Go through and do a cursory check of the marks given.
So the peer assessment did have a summative element, but only a small percentage.
That's right, and it was then checked by the member of staff.
And the other thing you said, the students valued that form of assessment from each other.
Yes, I think it was the fact that they'd actually, because they'd done the work and so knew what they'd done, they then were taken through quite carefully, but having to then think about it while they were marking somebody else's, they were very much thinking, rather than just getting a marked script back where they looked through it and went, oh yeah, closed it again. This time they were thinking about and understanding what it was that the lecturer was looking for, so that hopefully they'd do it better next time.